What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the From the Student Section podcast, episode number 2. I am back, of course, with my co-host, as always, Austin Wiggers. What's up, buddy? How we doing today?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, baby. And oh my gosh, we got a lot to talk about from week 1 of college
Yes,
football.
we do. We have a lot to work about.
That was insane what we had. As always, make sure to subscribe if you like. If you like the video, like and subscribe. We love to see you here. Love to see you every week. But yeah. We're going to jump right into this because I got a lot of things I want to talk about from week 1. So we're going to kind of go back a little bit here. We'll mainly stick to the top 25. There's a couple games that we want to make a little bit of a touch on, but I'm going to go ahead and start. We're going to start over here. We're going to start right here. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. We're going to start right here. We're going to start with this bad boy right here. Okay. So you can see I'm repping the merch, but when we talked about this game last week, I did not expect this performance, not just out of Georgia, but out of Oregon. I did not expect this is a shellacking. Oregon got completely fucked by Georgia.
Yes,
let's just be completely honest here. Okay. 49-3. This was a Georgia team. Okay. This was a Georgia team that came out with something to prove from last year. They wanted to prove that they were not a one-time deal, a one-off champion. They got lucky with Alabama, whatever. No, Georgia's here to stay, baby. Georgia's here to stay. And this performance, here's what's going to happen. Either Oregon tanks the rest of the year, and this doesn't look very impressive, or Oregon still wins, between 8 and 11 games, and this is still a pretty good win. But, Stetson Bennett, 25 for 31, only 6 incompletions, 368 yards, 2 touchdowns. What are your thoughts on this? I can't go much more.
I have no words. If you look back at the last podcast we talked about, we had both picked Georgia to win. And we both thought that it would be, I think we had, if I'm remembering right, I think we were saying anywhere between 7 to 14 points, I think was our rough predictions.
I think I said 2 scores. I think I said 2 scores.
Yeah, I think I said 1 and 2 scores. Yeah. Now, I don't know what to say. Georgia came out. You see their first quarter 7-0. That's pretty good, I'll say. For Oregon to hold them to only 7 points and for Georgia just to keep them from scoring, that's a good start to a game. And then you look at the second quarter, 21-3. Georgia's like, all right, we're going ham. And you see they come back out of halftime, 14-0, and then a touchdown in the fourth quarter to seal it again. Even more. Bo Nix, 21 of 37. 173 yards. And that's an average day. He could have done a lot better for sure. But if like I'm saying before though, you look back at the last podcast, we were talking about how there's the new coach from Georgia that is on Oregon's staff now. And that was the question. I didn't think that having him there and having Bo Nix and everything would automatically give Oregon a W, but I thought they were going to make it closer. I thought with the help of a former Georgia coach, with having Bo Nix, Oregon's been a pretty solid program for the past 7 years or so, 7 years, something like that.
Yep.
10. So, I thought they were going to make it closer than this. And you look around social media and you start checking scores and next thing you know, it's a final 49-3. And you're like, what
did I just witness with this Georgia team? And this goes back to do I think Bo Nix will be good with Oregon? Absolutely. Bo Nix has proven that he's a really solid college quarterback. Was great with Auburn, but this continues the streak of Bo Nix cannot play well against Georgia. He didn't have any good games against Georgia at Auburn, continues that track record here. Am I the superstitious type that thinks, because it's Georgia can't play well? No, but I do think that because of what Georgia's defense has been able to do for the last 4 years or so against a quarterback like Bo Nix, I think that rattles him a lot, especially in opening game 1. You got high expectations coming off injury, playing for Oregon now. You've got a Georgia assistant coach as your new head coach now. And you look at the numbers, he underperformed. He underperformed the expectations. Yeah. And can he rebound? Absolutely. I think Bo Nix is very capable of turning this around. But Oregon did not play well. Oregon straight up did not look like they played well. They did not belong in this game. Oregon, I don't have any confidence in Oregon. Maybe to win their division, maybe we'll take a look at that at some point with some of the other drama going around in the Pac-12. But this right here, even if Oregon runs the table and wins the Pac-12 championship, I have serious doubts about their playoff chances. Looking at a game like this is not a playoff ready team. This is not a season ready team. And the Pac-12 more than anything loves to beat itself up. Each team loves to take the other team out. Why do you think everybody in the Pac-12 always ends up with 2-3 losses? They just all beat each other up. You have a lot of scores in the Pac-12 that are, by 3 points, but they're scoring, 48, 45. Yep. Pac-12 puts up a lot of points against each other. I don't see a path to the playoff right now for Oregon. We'll have to see how they rebound and how they go into Pac-12 play. But man, the fact that Georgia, yes, Oregon may be underrated, whatever, but this was still the number 3 team versus the number 11 team. This was supposed to be a marquee matchup for the week, and Georgia made it not a marquee matchup. If you're a Georgia fan, this should be a really good sign for you that Georgia is locked, loaded, and ready for the playoff, because they're not going to hit Alabama until the SEC championship.
Exactly.
And yes, let's go ahead and pencil in the SEC championship. It's Alabama, Georgia. We all know it's going to be, unless something crazy happens, like Bryce Young gets injured. Even then, they've got 2 5-star backups at second and third string. It doesn't matter for them. They're cool.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a great sign for Georgia. What a start. I don't know if you have any other thoughts you want to put on this.
The only other thing I was going to say is, so we've already looked at Stetson Bennett at his stats. Incredible first game, had a 97.3 QBR, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns, had an average passing yardage level of 11.9, really good. You see the backup, Carson Beck, his was on average was 11.8. So he's only 0.1 behind. Yeah. He was 5 of 6, 71 yards. I mean, look, as a team, for passing, they were 30 of 37 with 439 yards. And Carson Beck threw 1 touchdown as well. Like, that's incredible. And if you scroll back up, you'll see, look at the rushing here. This is a really good sign if you're a Georgia fan. Look at the top one, Kendall Milton, 8 carries for 50 yards. He had a touchdown. He averaged 6 yards per carry. Look at all the other rushers. They got, both quarterbacks get some rushes in there. They got several other guys that are rushing. And holy cow. A long of 12 yards, long of 10, 6, 9, 10, 7, 4. You got the 50 yards on 8 carries for Kendall Milton. Like, that's a good start. I'm telling you what, if you're a Georgia fan, keep looking at Kendall Milton, keep looking at Stetson Bennett. They're going to be a top dynamic duo this season.
Yeah. And of course, we go down to Georgia's team for a moment. Kenny McIntosh, well, he didn't have any of Georgia's touchdowns, 117 receiving yards and only 9 receptions. So 13-yard average. And look at all of Georgia's receivers here. They all average more than 10 yards receiving. That's not super difficult as a wide receiver, but if you look at Georgia is incredibly balanced. Like everyone got targets. Everyone that played got a decent amount of targets. Stetson Bennett had multiple people he could throw to, make him look good. McConkey had a touchdown. Mitchell had a touchdown. Kendall Milton had a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. And, Stetson Bennett had 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. And for Carson Beck to come in he had 6 attempts, 5 throws, 5 completions, and to still average 11.8 yards is ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know what year Carson Beck is, but he might come in as the next after Stetson. I don't know what year he is. I don't know how many years he has left, but for him to come out and do that against Oregon, yes, Oregon was tired. They just wanted to get on the bus and go home at this point. But even still, for the backup QB to come in and just get some reps, but be able to still play that well and average almost 12 yards a pass is ridiculous.
And that gives me hope. A touchdown and throw a big touchdown.
Yes, he threw a touchdown pass. And he rushed for 4 yards. This Georgia team is stacked, and I am so happy. And I don't want to be anybody that has to play them, because I would be scared to death.
Yeah.
I would be scared to death to play this Georgia team. But we talked about this game enough. I want to jump into the other marquee matchup of the week, and then we'll go back and talk about some of the other ones that were here. But let's talk about this Notre Dame Ohio State game. Oof. And I want to start out on this one. Okay. Both teams looked terrible. I'm going to start that off right now, at the very least on offense. Notre Dame put up all 10 of their points in the first half, couldn't score again. Ohio State down at half, put up 14 in the second half to win. The 11-point margin of victory, neither team deserved to win this game. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Ohio, this was supposed to be a really good game. We were predicting Ohio State to win big, and in some ways they did, because they held Notre Dame to nothing in the second half. But the downside of that is they couldn't get anything going either. Neither team showed up in the second half. Those were pity touchdowns that Ohio State got. Ohio State got 2 touchdowns there because they weren't home. That's the only thing. CJ Stroud had an okay game, 24 for 34. But for somebody that's in the Heisman running and is forecasted to be top 5 for Heisman, that is not a good start for Stroud. And that should raise some concerns about, is this Ohio State team capable enough to reach that championship caliber? Sure, I didn't think they were going to win this game by a huge margin. I was predicting 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. I'm not high on Notre Dame. But look at what a team like Georgia just did. I'm not going to count Alabama because they played nobody. I don't care about what Alabama played. Georgia came out and won by 46, and everybody on that team looked good. And that was a big game. Ohio State at home had Notre Dame, all the momentum on their side, and still can only beat them by 11. That's concerning as somebody that's, for me, I think Ohio State, at least going into last week, I thought Ohio State was one of the top 2 and was going to stay there. Their top 3 are Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and there's no disputing that. But was Ohio State going to stay ahead of Georgia? Now I don't think so, but I would love to see them play. Playoff time, we'll see. But Yeah, I got a lot of questions. And then Notre Dame, I'm not going to count a lot against Notre Dame because, for one, I don't think a lot of people expect them to win. Let's be honest, I didn't expect them to win, but I will give their defense some credit for holding Ohio State to only 21 points at Ohio State. Yes. It is the first year head coach. It's his first regular season game. Nobody expected them to win, but even though Notre Dame couldn't get their offense going, like, I'll give them something here. Because it's impressive what they did holding Ohio State to only 21 points this game. But
yeah, I mean, Tyler Buckner, 10 of 18, 177 yards at an average of 9.8 yards, QBR 54.7. I mean, not terrible, but also not very good. CJ Stroud, 24 of 34, 223 yards, but he only averaged 6.6 yards. But he did have 2 touchdowns and had a higher QBR, 89.5. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say. I mean, I'm going to echo exactly what you said. I mean, it was not either team's best game at all. I mean, no team really deserved to win. I mean, I still thought it was a decent game to watch. I caught some snippets here and there going between different games. But yeah, I mean, I'll admit though, I was going between this game for a little bit and between my school, Indiana Wesleyan, their football game. They're playing at Valparaiso.
And I was mostly watching the other game that was going on alongside this. We'll talk about that next. That was cool. But go ahead.
But no, you're good. When I was watching the Indiana Wesleyan game, I mean, Indiana Wesleyan, they beat them at home last year. First time beating a D1 school. It was huge. I mean, Clapton was like 28-10 or 28-7, something like that. Like it was just bad for Valparaiso.
So you're ready for Ohio State is what you're saying.
Yes, we're ready. We want Bama.
Let's go.
So then college football playoff. We're coming, baby.
Indiana Wesleyan, baby. Let's go.
But I mean that game, Indiana Wesleyan couldn't get anything going in the first half. They were down 17-3 at halftime. Had an awful, they had the first strike down the field, got a field goal. Rest of the first half couldn't get anything together. Valparaiso gets 17. Indiana Wesleyan comes out for halftime, and they put up 14 points really quick.
Yeah.
And it ended up going down to where Valparaiso was up by 3, and Indiana Wesleyan, with like 5 seconds left, had a 54-yard field goal to tie it. And it was just a couple yards short. I mean, that game, they should have put that one as their primetime game.
Yeah.
I mean, don't put them on ESPN3. Put Ohio State and Notre Dame on ESPN3 because nobody wanted to watch that game.
No kidding.
Well, I mean, when you get to the point where it's better to watch a small, lower level D1 school play an NAIA school and the game is more interesting, I mean, that's just an issue.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's still week 1. It's week 1. Both these teams are trying to get their feet under them. If there's one team that can come out somewhat flat on week 1, win and rebound very easily, it is Ohio State.
Yes,
fully believe that. Ohio State, they play in the Big Ten. They play in the toughest division of the Big Ten. They typically go 11-1, 12-0. Like, this is a team that rebounds very easily, always looks dominant, always in that playoff conversation. I'm not super concerned about Ohio State, but again, a little flat performance on week 1 for Ohio State. I'm going to need to see something from them. You know what I mean? Notre Dame 3 for 13 on third down. Ohio State only 7 for 13 on third down. I don't know if that speaks to the defense for each team or what, but I would think both teams would be a little bit better converting third downs. That's just me. Nobody even tried on fourth down. So I think that does speak to the defense that regardless of where this game was at, nobody tried to go for anything on fourth down. Total yards, nobody got over 400. Notre Dame couldn't get over 300. So again, maybe that speaks to the defense. I don't know. I wasn't watching the game, but again, not a bad start. Ohio State still won. There's a reason they got jumped in the AP poll. We'll talk about that a little bit later for Georgia. Fully deserve that. But yeah, flat start for Ohio State. They still got the win. Notre Dame, we'll see what they got going forward.
Yep.
Let's see. What else do we want to talk about here?
Well, there's something that I actually kind of want to talk about.
Okay. Where do you want to go with this?
So this is going to be talking about the 2 teams that are up north.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm referring to, Caleb?
I do not know where you're going with this.
So you see one of them on your screen right now. It is the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay. You want to talk about this game?
And them. I want to compare the teams here. We got Michigan. We got Michigan State.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, these are 2 things I want to talk about because we all saw how it went last year.
Yeah.
With both teams. I mean, both teams were really good. They were undefeated when they went in to play each other. I mean, yes, the two first games for these teams are not really playing, good teams, impressive teams. So it's not, it's not like we can make a strong judgment. But I will say if you look at the Michigan score there, it's 51-7. Now scroll down or go to the Michigan State game.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got 51-7 for the Michigan Wolverines at home.
And then I'll just speak on this one. Michigan State 35-13.
35-13. Now, like I said, it's first game. It's hard to compare, and for various reasons. But I will say, if you just take the fact that both these good teams are playing bad teams, Michigan came out and they looked a whole lot better to start out than Michigan State did.
Absolutely.
Michigan State, I mean, they look at, they got 35-13, did good. I mean, you see the quarterback there, he was 12-24, 233 yards, 4 touchdowns. Thorne did really good. Running back for Michigan State, I mean, he was doing really, really well. You see there, he had 16 carries, 120 yards and touchdown. Kenneth Coleman, 4 receptions, 84 yards and 1 touchdown. Really solid performance coming out for them.
What I will say, though, is especially for Berger here, he's got massive shoes to fill from the performance Kenneth Walker put on last year.
Yes.
So to come out and start with that is pretty telling that he looks like he could be pretty good. I do want to touch on going off of what you're going for with Michigan State, Michigan here. I think the difference, this is a ways away, but when these two teams play, I think the difference will be quarterback play, and that's evident here.
Yes.
Peyton Thorne, 233 for 4 touchdowns. And if you think about it, McNamara did not do a lot himself this game. Let's pull up his stats for a minute. Passing wise, 50% of his passes, 1 touchdown, 136 yards. And yes, I think they pulled him out at some point just because they were, crushing Colorado State. But for your starting quarterback, we've invested a lot in to come out and really look like that, not look the best. Peyton Thorne looked better than McNamara here. They played last year. Michigan State won, obviously, but that was more on the backs of Kenneth Walker.
Yep.
This year, it's going to be a lot more on Peyton Thorne from Michigan State to really pull out a big performance against Michigan come that time. And from what I'm seeing, first of all, he looks like he can do it. But that'll be a different atmosphere in the Big House this year. It's not at Michigan State, it's in the Big House. So there's a lot of factors to consider there. But like I said, good start for Peyton Thorne, not a great start for McNamara.
I agree with you. And I'd also say it's also tough because Michigan is still in their quarterback battle. I mean, Harbaugh has still not decided who he's going to name as starting quarterback officially. He said he was going to have McNamara start this game, and he was going to obviously have JJ McCarthy as well as Alan Bowman play some towards the end of the game.
Sure.
And I do believe the plan is for this week's game, they're going to be having JJ McCarthy as their starter, and they'll probably end up bringing in McNamara and even Bowman again. I think what they're doing is they're just trying to get these first 2 games on their belt. And then we'll see what happens week 3. We'll see if they end up picking one or if Harbaugh just kind of lets them duke it out again. It sounds like he's really unsure what to do. And this is where I'm unsure because part of me, I see what he's doing. And I think it's a good idea to a certain extent. I love having the competition at practice. It makes each player, play better. I love that they're doing this. They're trying to figure out who the best option is for their offense.
Yeah.
However, it also is tough because, naming a starter, that could really be a solid thing for your team.
Yeah.
So I think
naming a starter sets a precedent that this is who the guy is. This is who we have the faith in. This is who's shown the best result. And this is who's going to captain the offense.
Exactly.
When the offense is transitioning among different quarterbacks in a quarterback battle, there's a lot of communication issues there. And the quarterback, especially in college, is a lot of times your locker room leader. And for them to not know who that is and who to kind of lean on, sure, it's probably McNamara right now because he was the starter last year. But even then, if there's still debate there, boy, you got to figure that out quick because before you know it, you got 2 games before you're in a Big Ten play. Michigan doesn't have a hugely powerful start to Big Ten play, but even still, Big Ten play is a hugely different animal than Colorado State is. And if it takes up until week 4, when you start Big Ten play for there to be a decision on a quarterback, you're going to kind of limp in there and you cannot limp into Big Ten play.
Not at all.
As for Michigan State, like we said, Peyton Thorne, clear starter there, and he proved that with that 4 touchdown performance. Did they struggle a bit? Yes. But again, Peyton Thorne did exactly what the offense's leader needs to do, lead that team to victory. And he showed out and did that 100% in that game.
Yes, he did.
I want to go to, if you're good on this point here, Michigan State, I want to go to the game I was watching during the Ohio State Notre Dame game. And that was this barn burner right here.
Oh my goodness.
This game was so good. I was watching this game, every second of this game. This was absolutely awesome. Not the result I expected by any stretch of the imagination. But here's the thing, right? Both of these teams looked really, really good. And this is exactly what I want from my college football. Wasn't super high scoring, but boy, these teams duked it out. They played with everything they had. Anthony Richardson did not pass for a touchdown, but rushed for 3. 168 yards passing, 106 rushing yards for 3 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson is by and large the player of the week this week in the entirety of college football. You can make an argument for Stetson Bennett, whatever, that's fine. As a Georgia fan, I will concede Anthony Richardson was the player of the week this week. My gosh, this game was awesome. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
This truly is the epitome of whoever gets the ball last is going to win this game. That's it. And I think, I don't remember exactly how the ball last, but I mean, Florida won this game and they deserve to win this game. Yes. Both teams deserve to win this game, but Florida played their heart out. Richardson put the team on his back again. Another testament to your quarterback. Your quarterback's got to be your leader, and he stood out here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, 11 carries, 106 yards, average 9.6 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. He had a long run of 45 yards. Like,
geez.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It's great we have a quarterback who, with just 17 completions, out of 24.
Yeah.
I mean, dude had 168 yards. Like, that's not bad. Averaging 7 yards and a QBR of 94.8. Like that's pretty average, especially when you're rushing for 106.
Yes.
And then if you look on the Utes side, you got Cameron Rising, 22 of 32, 216 yards, 6.8 average. He had 1 touchdown, had 1 interception. But I mean, he looked pretty good as well. I mean, I'll say both these teams.
Cam Rising looked really good under the pressure.
Yes.
Cam Rising looked like he has been there before on a big stage. He didn't cave under pressure. He was still going.
Being in the swamp is the one place where you have to be able to play pressure because, I mean, number one, just from a weather standpoint, it's the beginning of the school year. It's hot, especially down there in Florida. It's hot, it's humid, but the swamp is just one of those stadiums where it is so loud.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the swamp, there's a couple that I've heard have been really loud. We obviously have the swamp.
Yep.
We have the big house.
Yep.
I've heard Autzen Stadium, where Oregon plays. I've heard that one is really loud because of the way they've constructed their stadium.
We all
know Death Valley. We know
Death Valley. That's what I was just going to say. LSU.
I mean, in a way, yes, just about every college football stadium is loud.
Yeah.
I mean, even Purdue gets loud.
But there are those objective few stadiums that are louder than anyone else.
Yes, yep. And I've heard that Florida is one of those. And for him to come out and he only missed, he only threw 10 incompletions, had 216 yards, had a touchdown, interception. I mean, will this team get 26 points? They were in it for the entirety of the game until the end there. Yep. I mean, I gotta give raise my cap to him. I mean, he played an outstanding game. It was just a great game all around.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to point out to watch for with Florida, not just Anthony Richardson and frankly coming out with a Heisman performance here, but I want to talk about and watch Trevor Etienne at running back for a little bit. While he may not be their main running back, you've got Travis Etienne in the NFL, played at Clemson. Trevor Etienne had only 5 carries for 64 yards, which is a 12.8 yard average, which is insanely good. But he had big runs when it mattered most to keep Florida and give them that win. So I want to watch him a lot going forward because I think he'll be one of those breakout stars for Florida, or at least somebody that could be a solid hand they can rely on a lot. Because again, a 12.8 yard average, regardless of how many carries you had, is insanely good.
Yes.
Absolutely. What I will say, though, on this weekend, we watched Oregon and Utah both lose. Those are Pac-12's 2 best chances at the playoffs. So I think that really, really hurts their chances. I think Utah would have to run the table and win the Pac-12 championship to have a shot at the playoff. And even then, I don't think that's likely. I think one of them had to come out and win this weekend, and neither of them could get it done. Again, Oregon's out. Oregon's just out. Utah went to Florida and only lost by 3. I think that's why they'll still have a good chance if they can run the table. But again, they have to run the table now. There is no exception. Like, you will not have a 2-loss Pac-12 champion in that playoff.
Yeah.
There won't be room. Going beyond that, there weren't any other hugely close games here.
Oklahoma State, Central Michigan. I mean,
yes, I want to go real quick to Oklahoma State here because Spencer Sanders looked really good. Spencer Sanders looked really good again.
And he had 57 rushing yards as well. I mean,
yeah,
you can't get much better than that.
Spencer Sanders had 6 touchdowns, 4 passing, 2 rushing. Like Spencer Sanders. There's a reason I love Oklahoma State so much. It's because of Spencer Sanders. Spencer Sanders is such a fun quarterback to watch, and he's so good at what he does. This is going to be a really fun team to watch. As I said last week, I told you Oklahoma State would be fun to watch.
Yep.
There's your proof right there. Spencer Sanders looking amazing as usual. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all. I'm going to keep rolling a little bit.
Go back to for 1 second.
Yeah.
Go back and look at this. This just caught my eye. I didn't realize this.
Yeah.
Look at the Central Michigan passing. Daniel Richardson, 36 of 49, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah.
For a guy from Central Michigan to go into Oklahoma State Cowboy territory,
yes,
and to have that good of a performance, holy cow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
And then
I think that guy's gonna be something special.
That does raise some significant concerns for Oklahoma State's defense. But again, especially in the Big 12, the Big 12 runs out of, we got 10 minutes left in this meeting. Love that. So we'll have to probably do this in 2 parts, which we can do that. We'll do the meeting in 2 parts. But what I will say is the Big 12 is all about shootout games. Like, these are teams that do not care about defense. They are all offense. So for an offense for Oklahoma State to look this good, that's going to lead to some very, very entertaining games come Big 12 play. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch them.
Yep.
Absolutely. We'll touch on a couple other games here real quick, and then we'll do a second part of this, talk about next week, talk about the rankings. Any other major things to touch on here? Not really. Most teams handle their business. I want to touch on this one real quick. NC State, East Carolina. This and the Clemson game prove that the ACC is weak. The ACC is very down. This is not, a lot of people were saying NC State's a sleeper for the playoff. No, they're not. Not anymore. They can't be. You can't logically give them, their quarterback was 17 for 33. That's 16 missed. That's 16 incompletions. That doesn't work that way. Only one of those is an interception. Like, you can't blame that on interceptions. Even if it was, that would be more concerning. But, NC State, not a playoff contender unless they really start to turn things around.
Yeah.
Let's move ahead here. Gotta touch this out. Oh, good. I got a clock. I can see how much time I have left, so we're chilling on time right now. Cincy, Arkansas. I forgot about this one. This was also a fun game to watch.
Yes, it was.
I think we all kind of agreed that as a consensus, Arkansas was going to win this game, and they did. KJ Jefferson looked really good in this game. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. SEC quarterback play this week was insane. Anthony Richardson, KJ Jefferson, Bryce Young, Stetson Bennett. Those are your 4 probably quarterback leaders right now. Yeah, and those 4 were all playing decent teams. Bryce Young doesn't count, but he's Bryce Young. He's going to count for everything.
Yeah.
But Bennett, Richardson, and KJ Jefferson all pulled out these performances against ranked teams, and that should tell us something about SEC bias. SEC is always the best. There's a reason they're the best, and they prove it today.
Yeah, Ben Bryant, though, looked really good. 26-43, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception. I mean, he looked pretty good, especially when against an Arkansas team that's ranked 19th to start. I mean,
absolutely.
I'll give it to him. He looked good. Both teams looked good coming out. It was a good game to watch. So, I mean, I don't have anything else to say on that. I think it'll be exciting to watch both these teams continue throughout this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Great game there. Arkansas, a lot of fun to watch. Arkansas has been prone to starting out well early and then kind of falling back a little bit. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Miami dropping a 70 bomb, USC dropping 66, Wisconsin with a shutout, Kentucky wins, Ole Miss wins. Houston, UTSA. I didn't watch any of this game, but a 3 overtime win for Houston. That sounds like a lot of fun. UTSA was undefeated for a lot of the year last year and in the college football playoff rankings for quite a few weeks. And Houston looking good as well. That was a lot of fun, that game. Moving forward to Monday here with that Clemson Georgia Tech game. From what I've been seeing and from a lot of things, don't let that score deceive you. Clemson looked rough out there. They still got a lot of things I think they need to work out. I have a lot of faith in Dabo to get that worked out, but they need to have a quarterback. They need to figure out who they want to drive the ship with, because that's going to be their deciding factor. Klubnik, a lot of people said looked a lot better out there than DJ did. But I mean, again, only 4 for 6. We didn't get a lot of exposure to him, but from what I've heard, he looked more comfortable out there running that offense. And I think if that's what we need to look for, who's comfortable under pressure and who's going to drive you well in the big game, and it's going to be Klubnik, you got to go with him. And then Georgia Tech's being Georgia Tech. They hung with them for that first quarter, and then that was about it.
Yep.
Real quick, last game I want to touch on, I think where we're probably going with this, is this monstrosity right here. That is this Florida State LSU game. Well, props to Florida State blocking that extra point at the end. But I mean, for an LSU team that just swiped Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, they had to come out and win this game. They didn't, to set a statement. Florida State's looking really good. Some questionable calls from Brian Kelly here. I don't remember. I saw somebody say this today. Brian Kelly went to the one school where that fan base will turn on you in an instant. He could have stayed at Notre Dame for the rest of his career, been locked in there, doing 9 to 11 wins, and been fine for the rest of his career. But he decided to go to LSU, where if you are not performing, like most people for LSU have their expectations set on that 2019 team that went undefeated to win the championship under Joe Burrow and Ed O. But if you're coming out here and you're not winning your first game, especially not only at LSU, but as Brian Kelly, that raises some issues. And do I have a lot of faith he can redeem it? Yes. But again, Brian, what are you doing, bro? You got to get this thing going, because LSU fans are ruthless.
Yeah. I don't, Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you can look at this in several different ways. I think that obviously, you can't just pin loss solely on the fact that there was a blocked extra point.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't. I mean,
Right.
was that the reason they lost? Technically speaking, yes, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's the only thing you're doing in the game. And LSU, they needed to come out and they needed to be, just better. I mean, Jaden Daniels, 26-35, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not awful. He had a pretty good performance. He had
He also
obviously
had 114
yes,
rushing yards. I
and
think
he had 114 rushing yards as well. Yes, I just looked at that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look right now, I mean, we have several just across college football, and especially in like the SEC. I mean, SEC, ACC, all just across. You have solid quarterbacks.
Yeah,
that are rushing and that are throwing well. I mean, I think it's gonna be a really good season. But LSU, I mean, you got to come out and you got to come out, on fire. And I mean, look at it. I mean, they only scored 3 points in the first quarter, then they didn't score any in the second, and they scored a touchdown in the third, and then they had 13. Could have been 14. Had it blocked. I mean,
right.
Props to them for getting 2 scores in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I mean, to get shut out in the second quarter and only score 3 in the first, I mean, that right there.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's Florida State. They're a solid team.
Yes.
But I mean, I think you got to at least put up 7. I mean, at least one of those quarters.
Absolutely. And, yes, you can blame, the blocked extra point is why LSU lost. But the question that people are asking is why were they in a scenario where that was their game, that was game point at all?
Exactly.
An LSU team like that, if anything, it should have been tied going into that final drive and a touchdown should have won the game. But to be in a scenario where you're hinging on an extra point, yes, 900 times out of 901 times, he's going to make that extra point.
Yep.
But this was the one you missed. And to set yourself up to a point where it comes down to an extra point, that's a lot of pressure on your kicker. And yes, kickers are built to go out under pressure and make those kicks. But again, they shouldn't have put themselves in such a scenario to where that was the game for them.
Okay, I'm going to give you
LSU. They should have been better.
I agree. And one more thing, though, I got to give props to Florida State though for blocking now. I mean, you don't see that all too often. No. I mean, you see blocked field goals every once in a while. Extra points is pretty rare. It's usually just a miss, like a shank. But the fact that they were able to rush that line, block that kick, and win the game, I mean, props to them. I mean, that's impressive. I'll give it to them.
Absolutely. We're going to stop it there for right now for part 1, but that is the chaos that ensued week 1. I didn't expect to have a lot of chaos week 1, but hey, it's college football time, baby. Football, baby. College football is back and better than ever. We'll be back with part 2 here in just a couple minutes, and we're going to get into week 2 and talking about the new rankings and what are some big games we got coming up week 2. So I will see you in just a minute. I'll get a new meeting set up and we'll get this going.
Let's go, baby.
See you in a minute, sir.
See you in a minute.